Thank you so much for taking the time out of your Monday morning to join us this morning. It's the PaperCut Hive Q3 2024 updates. We've got, lots of expertise on the call from Select Tech and also some great special guests joining us from PaperCut.
There are 4 areas that I'll be covering as part of authentication and onboarding, or actually 3, and then the 4th one, Matt Taylor over here will be talking to. So we'll be covering authentication, tailored user onboarding, user self-serve, and simplified linking. Just to let you know, the authentication features I'll be talking to today will already have been enabled for you all if you've signed up for early access. The other 3 changes, the tailored user onboarding, user self-serve, and linking, will be coming later. It'll be over the next week or so. Also, just to note, the UI that you're looking at today may change slightly from what you see it as today, but it'll be functionally very much the same. All right, so we'll get into overview of authentication. So admins and end users will now be able to log in with SAML single sign-on and MFA. This is important in EMEA because it means that PaperCut Hive will now meet the Cyber Essentials requirements. So with that, we're supporting a range of identity providers. We've got 2 custom pages that will be available to configure Google Workspace, Microsoft Entra ID, and then we'll have a 3rd generic SAML configuration page for other providers like Okta. With the IDPs, there's also the option to enable MFA from the IDP, which will then be enforced through to PaperCut Hive. So actually, I'm gonna play a demo of the configuration of identity provider Microsoft Entra ID as an example, and the authentication settings. This was done by Matt Lee. So thanks, Matt. Go play that.
In this video, we're going to go through configuring Microsoft Entra ID as an authentication provider in PaperCut Hive. To do this, I need admin access to PaperCut Hive and admin access to the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. I'll start off by going to my name in the top right-hand corner and then going to Settings. From the tabs at the top, I then choose Authentication. This is where I can configure my SAML SSO provider. I'll start by going to Add SAML SSO Provider. From this window, I can choose from Microsoft Entra ID, Google Workspace, or create a custom SAML 2.0 connection. I'm going to choose Microsoft Entra ID. You have the option to give this a name. This might be important if you're creating multiple configurations or using the custom option. I'm going to leave it as the default. I then have a link to PaperCut's documentation that runs through the steps we're covering in this video. I'm now going to switch over to the Microsoft Entra Admin Center, go to Enterprise Applications, and create a new application. I'll then create my own application and give it a name. From the list, I'll then choose to integrate any other application that I don't find in the gallery, and click Create. Once created, I can then look for single sign-on in the left-hand menu. From here, I'm going to choose the SAML option, and then I'm going to go through step 1, the basic SAML configuration. I click on Edit, and I need to provide an identifier and a reply URL. I can get both of these values from the PaperCut Hive admin interface. Let's start with the identifier, come back into Microsoft Entra, add that in, and then the reply URL. Once both of these are entered, I can then click Save. Once saved, I can then close this window, and from the left-hand menu, I'm going to go to Users and Groups. This is where I configure which users can authenticate with PaperCut Hive. I click Add User or Group, go to my user or group selection, and choose a group that includes all of the users in the company. Some customers may want to limit this. In most cases, I'm expecting all users to be signing into PaperCut Hive. Once I have that selected, I can then click Assign. I can now confirm that in this view here, and that's now configured. My next step is I need to link Microsoft Entra ID with PaperCut Hive. And in PaperCut Hive, I need to provide 3 values to do this. Going back to Microsoft Entra, I'll go back to single sign-on, and I can find this information in the windows here. I'll start with the login URL, then the Microsoft Entra identifier, and then I need to get the certificate. I can find this here, certificate base 64. I'm going to download that to my computer, and I then need to use a text editor to open this file. Once I have the file open, you can see the certificate, and I need to copy this into PaperCut Hive. Please make sure to include the begin certificate and end certificate, and don't remove any of the dashes. I will go back to PaperCut Hive and paste that into the box. You can see this certificate does have an expiry date, so it's important customers revisit PaperCut Hive before this date to make sure that the sign-on method doesn't stop working. I can then scroll down and I get prompted to test the configuration. This will pop a window open, asking me to sign in to my Microsoft account. If needed, I'll do my two-factor, and that's the test complete. I'll now return to PaperCut Hive. It confirms the test is successful, and I can now choose if I enable this configuration for my users immediately, or do I wish to enable it later. I'm going to enable it now. And that completes the configuration of Microsoft Entra ID as an SSO provider in PaperCut Hive. It is worth noting that if you are configuring this, you may wish to disable some of the other options. As an example, the sign in with Microsoft option is pretty much redundant for me now. So I'm going to go to the three dots, go to edit, and I can disable that here. It will ask me to confirm it, but once I've done that, that is now disabled. And that completes the setup of SAML authentication in PaperCut Hive.
Awesome, thanks for that, Matt. So yeah, as you can see, one key changes for users is they will now be able to log into any of these three experiences. So we've got a new user portal for users to access the client software, view their job history and the access code. They'll be able to authenticate to and link their mobile app, and they'll be able to log in to authenticate at time of first print. I'll talk to these a little bit more further down below, so just to bring that up. So now we're going to go through the tailored user onboarding and how admins can configure that for their organization. First of all, we've got the existing classic invitation. That's what we're calling it in product. So it's important that you know it by classic invitation. And that's more suited for inviting guests. That invitation relies on the current email for relinking. So users will need to go back to that invitation whenever they need to relink the print client. It's also got the 3 steps that users must complete. So it's the downloading the computer app, downloading the mobile app, and then the third one is just do a print job. It also doesn't suit every organization. So we've found that some organizations, particularly with managed devices, don't want their users downloading the computer app because they can't install it anyway. And then other organizations don't want their users releasing print jobs using the mobile app. So that's where we are at the moment. We've got the classic invitation. It's not going away, and we will default all of the existing customers to use the classic invitation. And if they want to change that, they can through the settings. I'll show you in a bit. The other option is the user portal. So this is the logging in option, and that's more suited for customers that want users to self-serve. And so the email invitation will just contain one single link to the organization's specific logon page, and then they'll complete the rest of their setup in the user portal. They'll be able to, or admins will be able to choose which PaperCut apps users need, so they can decide to hide the computer app or the mobile app. And so there's a bit more choice for them there. They'll also be able to reduce reliance on admins and the invite emails, and they'll be able to view their access code and job history from the user portal. So this is just a reminder of that classic invitation that we all know today and don't really love, but it's there. So they get the email invite, they've got the access code in there, they've got the QR code, and then when they click get started over to the right, they have the 3 steps that they have to follow. So again, this is more suitable for when you want to invite guests. And then I'll do a demo of the new user portal, which is more suited for self-serve. So when I'll just go over to the portal. So before going into this, I won't be able to show you this bit, but depending on what authentication method the admin has set for their organization, the user will log in with that. So if it was SSO, then I would go in and log in with SSO or any of the other login methods, depending on what they've decided to enable. So coming in for the first time, I will be able to see whether or not the computer app is already installed. And if it's not, it'll be indicated with not installed. And then I'll just follow the prompts to get that set up. And it's a very quick process. If my admin has enabled the mobile app for my organization, I'll be able to see this, and then I'll be able to hit get app to go to the App Store and download that. In the user portal at the moment, I'll also be able to see my job history, and that will show the status of the jobs and the details of each of those jobs. And there's also a how to print section, and that takes me through how to get printing from a Mac or Windows, Chrome OS, iOS or Android. So it's all the instructions are in there to help me get started. And then in the home page, I've just got the very quick view of my access code. So we hide it just for security, but you can click show and that will show the code. That's not a real code, and then I've got the quick link to the how to print and then just my recent jobs that I've done. If I'm an admin, I will need to add myself in as a user from the Hive Admin Console user list. And then once I've done that, I'll be able to see the user portal option in my user menu. If I'm an admin and I'm in the user portal, I can also go back to the Hive Admin Console by clicking on the user menu, and then I'll be able to open the admin console in a new tab from here. So that's the user portal. And then I'm going to go through all of the tailored onboarding. So we've got the new user access settings. There's some default invites that an admin can set in this section for synced users, manually invited users, and then they can configure the user portal settings from there. And then I'll demonstrate how to send email invites in bulk and override the email invite for manually invited users. All right, user access settings. So this is what it looks like at the moment. There'll be a new user access tab next to the authentication tab that we just looked at earlier. And this is all within the settings you can access that from the user menu on the top right. So when we select user access, we'll have the three sections that I mentioned. The top one is about setting the default invite for the automatic invitation that goes out after users have been synced. Then the default one for manually invited, and then the last one is the user portal settings. So with the automatic invitation email, this is where a customer is syncing their users across from a sync source. In here, they'll be able to choose which invitation they want their users to receive. So as I mentioned earlier, for our existing customers, it will default to the classic invitation so that they don't get a sudden surprise when we release this and it suddenly changes to the new user portal. For new users, however, so anyone that comes on board, any customers coming on board after we release this, it'll go to the new user portal option. But of course, admins can go in and change this whenever they want. So I've got the two options there, and then there's a third option, which is to not send an email invitation because that comes in handy in scenarios where, as a reseller, I'm doing pre-staging, so I don't want to do this on implementation day. I might want to sync across the users at an organization, but I don't want those invitations to go out because the printers are not ready. And that's confusing to users when they receive that invite and they can't actually print yet. So that's a good one to choose for in this case, and I'll show you how to send those invitations in bulk a bit later on. We'll also have later on in future, we'll do the configuration by time. So at the moment, the invitation goes out automatically after approximately 30 minutes, and we'll make that configurable in future. It's not available right now. That's what it is at the moment. We'll also make available later on custom messages so they can decide to write a specific message to these users, and that will go in the invitation email. The next part is about setting the default manual invitation email. So this is where I go into the user list and I'm manually adding or inviting a user, and I can set which invitation those users get. But I can also override that at the time of sending the email as well, or sending the invite. So I'll show you that in a bit. And again, we can customize the message that's coming later. And then lastly, it's the user portal. So I can decide to hide the computer app at this point, or I can hide both of them. But it just means that when the user goes to the user portal, they'll just see the job history and the access code. But yeah, that can be configured from this point. And I can also copy the link to the portal and share that via any messenger software, so Slack or Teams, for example. So I don't need to send an email to users. I can just copy and share them a link. Okay, so then I'm going to go through how to, so earlier I said up here that you could decide to delay or stop the invitation emails from going out after the user sync happens. So let's have a look at how do you send those invitations in bulk. So when we come into PaperCut Hive, the admin console, and go to users, you'll be able to see a new status under this dropdown. It'll be invitation not sent. So when I select that, it'll show me all the users that have not received an invitation because I stopped it from before in that setting. So I can select all of those users and then select bulk actions and hit send invite email. And then here, as I mentioned, you can override the default setting at this point if you wish to as well. So before I set it to user portal, I might decide that for whatever reason, I'm going to send the classic invitation. So I can do that at that point. And then when I hit continue, that will then confirm that I want to send the invitation out to all those users. I'll just hit send, and then I'll get a confirmation that that's all done. And then I'm going to talk about overriding the email invite for manually invited users. So in the other setting that I did, I wanted to send the default email of inviting users to the portal. So if I go in here and I want to manually invite a user, I could do that, type in an email address, and then I could, at this point, also override that option if needed. Otherwise, it'll go to the one that I set it at in the settings. So I can choose classic and hit send. And then that will go ahead and do that. All right, so then, so now I'm going to actually just hand over to Matt to talk about simplified linking.
Cool. Hi, everyone. So what Tamia's mostly been speaking about has primarily been self-serve. But obviously, a lot of our users and customers want to or will deploy our software through an MDM, such as Intune or Jamf. So the software will be sitting on the client's computer, and they log in, but they haven't yet linked to Hive. So the way we're solving this now with the user portal is a lot more elegant than previously. So what they'll do is the first time they hit print, we'll detect that the software is not linked, and they will be straight away taken to the SSO login page for their organization. They'll enter their login credentials that they use to log into their org through Teams or any of the software that they already use. So it'll be the exact same experience. Once it links to the client, it will just give you a tick and you're ready to go. You're all linked up. It's that simple. No more going to your email and trying to find your linking invite and all that stuff. Just straight through your SSO, and it's job done. Excuse me. And you will have to do that on each computer once. So once you're linked on a computer, you're done. So obviously this is really, really important for those kind of environments where staff will be using lots of different computers, like a staff room at a school or even students going between classrooms. It'll just be a lot more elegant for them to get printing a lot quicker. So that's the authenticate on print. And another thing that's really important, again, possibly primarily for education, but there are other scenarios as well, is if you set the user portal up in this configuration, the user will only see the steps for setting up a mobile or tablet. And once you do those steps, you're no longer prompted to then set up a computer after. So we will have true mobile-only users at that point, which is really exciting. And then just quickly, so that's everything we've got on the SSO side. One thing we just want to note is that this is a beta stage. This is a true beta. So we want all your feedback from your testing. All these features, or a lot of these features are enabled now for your orgs if you've signed up. And then some of the other stuff like this will be coming very soon in a week or two. But like I said, this is a beta. We are prepared to change things to make them better in the way you want. So please do not hesitate to give your feedback to SelectTech, and then they can feed that to us. That's really, really important for us, and that's why we're doing this stage rollout. So yeah, that's what I wanted to highlight there.
Awesome, thanks, Matt. All right, well, that's it from us. I'll hand over to Max now to talk about Kyocera.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Sorry, I'm just going to share my screen now. And hopefully you can all see that. Perfect. Well, thank you again for that, guys in Oz. Yeah, I'm really quite excited to talk about this. It's been a bit of a project for me getting the Kyocera app with integrated scanning. As you may or may not know, there wasn't any scanning on the PaperCut Hive app for Kyocera. But what that does mean now is they've added it, or they are adding it currently. It's in a beta at the moment, but that is going live. I believe it's the 30th of October, if someone wants to correct me. But yeah, there's a brand new app, a completely redesigned. So there's scanning available now. Admins can centrally manage that from the PaperCut Hive web interface, so they can create scan to email, scan to cloud, scan to all of those with all the extra bits as well. What it brings for your users is a new consistent UI. It's a very, very easy setup and install. I've had that confirmed by some of the guys at Kyocera who have tested it. Very nice and simple to put the app on. Secure user authentication. It will now natively track copy, scan, fax, and USB, and give you secure print release as you'd expect. Some of the other benefits we've got, as I mentioned, quick scans. I'm going to show a little video of it actually working, because it does. Sorry, someone's asked a question. I thought it was going live on the 30th of September. I believe is that right? 30th of September? I thought it was October.
So it goes into a public beta on the 30th of September. So all customers will be able to see it, but there'll be a beta tag on it. And then on the 30th of October, we go to GA.
That's
or
what
general availability, for those who don't know what GA is.
Thanks, Matt. I thought I had 30th of October for full release, but yeah, I knew something was happening on September. Yeah, so I'm just gonna jump forward and show you it actually working. There we go. So this is what the new app looks like. Here's a user logging in, releasing a print job. You've got the thumbnail view. You can select all, print all, or print selected. Gives you the opportunity to convert to black and white. And then here's the quick scans. So you get all the same options as you would expect. You can do things like rotate. You can change the paper size, double-sided, DPI. This one's going to email. But if you've not used the integrated scanning on Hive yet, there are lots of options in there. You can go to all of the same ones you can with MF, but there's a few additional ones in as well. This is the native copying for tracking. And then going back into Hive, and it will record those copies as well as those scans within Hive. So again, if you're familiar with the Hive scanning, this isn't super new to you, but you've also got things like the OCR add-on, so we can do optical character recognition, we can do blank page removal, back splitting, file conversion. Also things like deliver with metadata, so we can import a CSV list and do data lookups for scanning, data entry, and then deliver that with an XML or a JSON file. We've actually done another webinar all about that with Hive scanning into some of our other solutions. So if you've got time to go and check that out, please do. But that's it. I'm personally, like I said, very excited about this. Where do we report bugs? Pictures. We'll come around to that at the end, Simon, and let you know where you can do that sort of thing. If you want availability, if you want access to it now, there is a form that we can send out to you so you can get early access. But as Matt said, it goes into open beta on the 30th of September and then a full general release for everyone on the 30th of October.
I think it's also worth mentioning there, Max, as well, that obviously you've got the Kyocera one, which, as you say, has been a personal project for you, getting that out to the wider market, which is great. But we also have the Canon and Lexmark scanning, or the Canon or Lexmark app with PaperCut as well. If you want access to them, guys, we do have the ability to request access for you. So if you do want it, please do get in touch, and we will make sure that we can get you access to those apps. And yeah, like you say, we'll cover Simon's question off at the end, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Max, for that. Appreciate it. And then which Matt should we go to now? We've had one of the three, so let's go to our Matt now, and he can talk to us about the tracking side of things.
Good morning, everybody. The hairiest of the Matts, but and the only Select Matt on the call. Hope everyone's well. Let me just start presenting my screen. He says, where is the window? There is the window. Awesome. So let's just fix the web camera. So ooh, let me know when you can see me. You can. Let's just fix and break this.
Yeah, we can see your cost tracking slide.
Perfect. So I have the wonderful task of getting to speak about cost tracking. Was that a question, or was that a? Oh no, everything's wholly broken.
Someone raised their hand. If you've got a question,
I'd
please do pop it. There's a little thing in the corner with a triangle, a square, and a circle. If you click on that, go to the Q&A. If you pop it in there, we'll do our best to answer your questions.
Awesome. Let's go find where all the windows are. Perfect. The joys of slides. There we go. So I'm going to get to talk about cost tracking. So
don't worry, Max. I'll interrupt you if it needs to be, mate.
That's all good. So new feature, wonderful. Everyone wants cost tracking. So the good news is that cost tracking is now available, and we can define costs in multiple profiles and assign those costs to each individual printer. So whether it's a bit like the way you have in currently having PaperCut MF, you can create your profiles based on the number of whether the paper size, whether it's black and white or color pages, single-sided or double-sided. So if you've seen the PaperCut MF standard charging, this will look fairly similar. And then, of course, with the features, because once you've got job tracking in, you can then see those information in job reports and in the job reports, the job log and the reporting. I've clearly not had enough coffees yet. So I'll show you around because I don't like slides, much rather just show you. But I promise I've got like one more slide until I start actually just showing you things, and everything get a bit better. So why do we care about cost tracking? Obviously, the most important thing for most of us is this last point, where once we've got cost tracking in PaperCut Hive, we can now start to it's the first stepping stone towards doing quotas and shared accounts and adding those features in the future. So, but for the actual end users, it's all very well seeing how many pages someone's done, whether it's double-sided or single-sided and color or black and white, but actual monetary values, it's much easier to compare usage between users and printers, and therefore, whether you want to understand or who's you spending the most money, or what printage usage you need to either modify people's behavior using the tools that Hive gives you. It just gives you a nice, cleaner, easier point of view to see what's going on, so you can do what you need to do, whether that's recovering costs or improving your understanding of what your usage is for environmental, reasons, and all the normal good stuff. So I'm going to go show you on the PaperCut Hive portal all the things you can do, guide you around. So we're going to go through the stuff on this slide. So I won't bore you with slides anymore, and I'll do a live demo on my Hive as soon as I find what window it's in. Awesome. So hopefully you can now see my PaperCut Hive. So all the settings for your printing, for your costs, are configured under cost tracking, which is hiding under easy print and scan and cost tracking. The first set of settings you're probably going to want to look at are the regional settings. So once you have this feature enabled on your Hive instance, and you go on, click on your name and click on the settings, you'll see this has changed from what you're used to add the new features like authentication that we discussed earlier. But under organization, there's now this new section about regional settings. So it will auto detect what country it thinks your Hive is in. So it won't be based on your data center, based on where you are. And that will set the defaults for your currency language, the number of decimal places, whether your decimals are full stops or commas, whether your thousand separators, full stop and commas, all based on the standard for your locale. And finally, it will also set what pages are typical for you. So US, Mexico, those silly letter and ledger sizes. The rest of the world, all the normal sensible paper sizes everyone loves. So if you want to modify it, for instance, you can change the number of decimal places shown up to 5 or down to 0. If you really want to, you can try and type in Luton as your favorite currency symbol, but you can't because it doesn't fit. Got maximum 4 characters. I did promise I'll sneak a reference in there for Rob. And if you want to be crazy, you could even just use an emoji if you wish. So all my currency is, I have a cat-based economy, so I can have a cat symbol as my currency symbol, and all of these you can position before or after your costs. I didn't mention the most important thing. So down here, one last option I didn't discuss on the regional settings, you can configure what happens when someone prints on the other paper types. So here in the UK, if someone prints something which comes in as a letter-sized piece of paper, do you want Hive to just cost that as if it's a sheet of A4, or do you want to have a separate line in your cost profile for that sort of page type? So some companies might actually be printing on letter and A4, in which case you want 2 separate costs potentially. But if you're just treating them as the same, someone prints letter, the printer just chucks it as A4 anyway, you want to cost it as A4. So let's show you where the cost tracking is hiding. So if we pop down to Easy Print Scan and our cost tracking, we can see all of the cost profiles I've been busily creating. So there's a default cost profile. So when your Hive instance discovers a new printer, it will get the default cost profile that you've configured. And at the bottom, that's a good question. I'll get there in a second. If you have any printers that don't currently have a cost profile assigned, you get a nice little handy list. So let me show you. And the one thing I must make sure I show you, once I click on here, once we're in a cost profile, I'll look at my cat currency. This link here goes into all the detail you need to know about the cost profiles and the settings in probably much more coherent but in full detail than I can do in this short session. So I highly recommend click on here, reading this. It's an awesome page. So if I want to assign a cost profile to a printer, I can manage printers and choose which ones are my printers from lists. I can obviously drill down and select based on, oh, I want to know all the ones that currently have no cost profile. Or let's say, or if I have a current cost profile I want to get rid of, I can find all the ones currently on that profile and assign. And just like most of the other filters and searches in Hive, it's very similar. Tick, continue, it will assign the printers. So this at the moment is just doing A4 and A3. So any other paper size will be charged at default. We can change and have set different costs per copy if you wish. And if we had other paper sizes we need support, so I did see a question in the Q&A, we want to add costs for A5, we can do so, whatever these costs may be. I don't want people to print A5, I'm trying to discourage them. So we save our costs, job done. One of the things you may have noticed there is it does the same sort of thing that PaperCut MF does, in that if you start typing in silly costs, it will give you warnings and, okay, you do you, but that doesn't necessarily make sense. Maybe just check to make sure that your numbers are in all the right places. And the other thing I really want to cover off is so one of the, like I said, you can have separate print and copy costs. And one of the good use cases of this is on a Konica Minolta, where your pages when you're doing copying are large and standard rather than A4 and A3. So you can have separate costs that are designed for Konicas so that it will then charge the appropriate values for your paper size by adding those paper types just to the copying profile. Once you've done some printing, you'll see all the costs in your reports. This report, you've all seen a report. Let's open up one quickly. But every report where you would expect to see the costs to be, it would be included. So here I've spent, I thought, almost up to a whole cap over the last 30 days. If we pop down to our job log, every time we print and it's released, the job will be costed. So I'll have our cost here. And the important thing to know is we can see the cost that it was here. We also can see what cost profile was used, and this is what the cost profile was set to at the time of print. So if you change your costs going forwards, you'll see what it was at the time, so it makes sense. But you can also go back to the cost profile, see what your current cost profiles are. Oh, lovely white screen. Wait for PaperCut to load. There we go. So that covers up almost everything on those slides. Let's see what we've missed. So we've talked about all of this. So let's talk about decimal places. I've been avoiding this one, leaving it last. So under your regional settings, you can set your number of decimal places. I've got mine set to 2 because I have got some half pennies on me, but most people don't. They don't collect coins. They're not weird. And your cost profile is going to be up to 5 decimal places. So let's say, for instance, I am charging, here's one I prepared earlier. I'm charging 2 100ths a penny for color, 100 a penny for black and white. So if I print a 3-page document, that's 2-page color, 1-page black and white, that's going to cost me half a penny. PaperCut Hive will round it up to the smallest unit that your regional settings support. So my minimum charge is a penny because I'm up to 2 decimal places. So if my cost is 5/100ths of a penny, it's going to round it up to 1 rather than round it down to, so that the customer does actually get charged for the usage. Otherwise, you'd end up potentially having zeros. If I then printed this out, same job out in black and white, so it ends up costing me 3 100ths of a penny, it's going to round, even though that should round down to 0 normally, PaperCut will go, well, I'm not going to charge someone nothing. It will round it up to the 1 unit. So that's the important thing to think about in terms of that. And that about cost settings thing in here will go into all of these little edge cases of what happens if. The other thing that's important to note, if you're printing a document that's in color and black and white, and you've printed, so it's got 2 pages of color, saying 1 page black and white, and you printed it double-sided, PaperCut Hive knows how many pages of color in black and white. It doesn't know which pages of color in black and white. So in that instance, it would assume that the single page, if there's an odd number of pages and double-sided, is the black and white cost. So that's if it's all color, it'll be the same, but the single side page at the end, so you're printing 1 double-sided page and then 1 single side when you print the 3 pages double-sided, it's going to charge that last page as black and white if there's an odd number of pages and a mixture of color and black and white. Right, have I covered off all of the edge cases I wanted to? Yes, I have. I think, I dare say it, I believe my work here is done. So thanks very much for your time.
Matt, you've got questions as well now. So
I can answer those questions now, or we can hand over and come back.
They've been coming in thick and fast. I don't know.
Awesome.
Matt, do you want to do your bit and then we'll cover the questions off at the end, or do you want to cover them before?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay, Matt. Well, if what we'll do is we'll answer your questions. We promise. Matt's got sort of 5-10 minutes to do a quick update with you on the Copilot side. Thank you very much, other Matt. Now over to PaperCut, Matt. We're just conscious of time, but we will get to your questions. We promise.
Thank you, Matt. I'll stop presenting, and you can stop presenting.
Thanks, Matt.
Cool. Perfect. So yeah, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time running you through some of the, I'm going to say, massive leaps forward we're taking with the technology that sits behind the printing system in PaperCut Hive. So this is specific to print. I'm looking down the attendee list. I know there's a few people that are going to fall into this. If you've been working with Hive for a while, you'll know there's certain environments where we've been presented with a unique set of challenges when it comes to getting the job to the printer successfully every time. And these changes we're making are really designed to improve that and make it work out of the box for most customers, but give customers the flexibility if they need it. So as we know, there's 2 parts to printing in PaperCut Hive. There's print submission. So user hits Control P, the job gets authenticated, it gets analyzed, it gets replicated to other nodes. That includes sending a copy to the cloud. That's an important one to know. If you've got the cloud node enabled, we always send a copy to the cloud. And then there's print release. So this is the bit the user hits print on the embedded, or they hit print on the mobile app. And this is us delivering the job to the printer. And print delivery is the area that we focused on with the introduction of both Autopilot and also print delivery profiles I'm going to run through. So let's start off with the new automatic option for getting a job to the printer. We've called it Autopilot, and this is slowly becoming the default routing logic for print job delivery. And the rollout of this is actually already in progress. Now, we've just designed this to really enhance the out-of-the-box experience by trying to cater for as many customers as possible automatically, regardless of their size. It's designed to basically detect and select the most optimal edge nodes for delivery, and basically working together as a group to work out who can see the printer, who's telling the cloud what's going on, all that stuff. So this is basically going to mean, as I mentioned, we're going to be able to scale into much larger customers than we would have previously. If you've talked to us before, if you came along and said, I've got 100 MFDs, 200 MFDs, 500 MFDs, there would have been that slight bit of nervousness. That's gone now from a print perspective. We're confident that we're hoping Autopilot's just going to work. But as I mentioned, if it doesn't suit every customer, then print delivery profiles is the way to go. Some of the things just to sort of highlight is we have done quite a lot of work around optimizing the communication between nodes, reducing the number of requests we send to the printer. If you've heard before, some manufacturers we've seen
can get a bit overwhelmed with the number of requests we were sending it. So we've done a lot of work in that area, and also working to reduce the number of requests we need to send into the cloud as well, because there's no point all the nodes sit in the cloud when we can group those together and send them up in one go. This, of course, sits alongside the enhancements we've made sort of over, let's say, last 6 months maybe, which is things like raw 9100 delivery, prioritizing the origin node for the job being stored and being delivered to the printer. So it all goes along with that. So autopilot, what do you need to do to enable it? Well, absolutely nothing. As I mentioned, we're gradually rolling this out to customers with the aim for it to be live for every customer by the 30th of September, at which point they'll then see this in the UI as the default routing that's being used, and they'll also see the option for print delivery profiles in the UI. If you've asked for early access, then you will see this as of today, so you can jump in and have a look at that. And that sort of gives us the perfect point to switch over to print delivery profiles. So we know there's going to be more advanced customers who have complex network environments, or just IT administrators that want to have that control over print delivery. And this allows them to control that print path. So enabling to configure PaperCut Hive to fit their unique setup, or maybe any organizational requirements they have. They have the option to select specific clients that can be used to deliver print jobs, or they can set specific areas of the network where there are clients who have access to particular printers. I'll show it in a bit more detail in a minute. And this also carries the benefit that it just means that the administrator has an understanding of the print path. So if things aren't working as they'd expect, then they understand it's going here, it's going there, this is how it's getting to the printer, I know where I need to look in more detail. So print delivery profiles, they get assigned on a per printer basis, but you can create one profile that suits multiple printers. So for example, if I've got, let's say, 5 printers in an office, they're probably likely to have the same configuration when it comes to getting the job to the printer, and I can cater for that all with a single profile that I then apply to those multiple printers. You can see a screen grab here of a delivery profile. In this case, I've got 2 particular clients that I've selected that can deliver jobs, and then I've specified a specific segment of the network where clients can be dynamically selected from. I've also got the option there to leave autopilot enabled as a backup. However, if you're in a situation where you're pretty certain that only specific clients can access the printer, then there's no real reason to ask PaperCut Hive to try and fall back to working it out itself. It's just going to leave the user in a situation where they're waiting longer for the job to fail if it is going to fail. So if you know this particular machine is the only one that can deliver to the printer, then there's no point in leaving the other options enabled, including autopilot at the bottom there. So let's run through maybe a few scenarios where print delivery profiles would be a good fit over autopilot. The first one is the reactive use case. The customer's running Hive, they've got autopilot enabled, and maybe they start to see jobs failing to release. Specifically, jobs that fail with the error you can see here. So no edge node could print the job. To resolve this, the customer can set up a print delivery profile, which then defines how a job can be handled. Next up, we've got those little satellite offices, only with minimal staff there. In most cases, autopilot's going to be a good fit for this. But if you're going to put in a dedicated client for any reason, then it might be useful to set that up as priority for job processing. We've then got the customers who are using network client isolation as part of their zero trust strategy. I've actually written, I'm going to give myself a little shout out here. I've written quite a long article in the portal about zero trust and network client isolation. So definitely check that out if it's a topic that's relatively new to you. In this case, you can see the customer's actually chosen to put a client in a private cloud environment. And that has access to the printers. So it would make sense in this case to have a print delivery profile that's going to say basically only that node can see the printer. So that's the only one worth attempting to try and print the job. Another good scenario is when the clients have when they have a network configuration where the print job is not going to be stored in the same place or in the same segment of the network as the clients that can see the printers. So this might be a case in, I've seen this quite often in educational settings. They put the printers on a separate VLAN. That means we're going to need a node on that VLAN, but that's more than likely not going to be storing the job. So that'd be a good candidate for a print delivery profile to say, use the client in that section of the network, and it could get the job from the cloud, or of course it can get it from other edge nodes if it has access. Finally, I know this is a piece we're all keen to move away from, the topic of supernodes. So autopilot and print delivery profiles is taking us a big step towards moving away from having supernodes. If you've ever thought, oh, I need a supernode, you know, I can't do a Hive installation without a supernode, then hopefully this is going to enable you to switch to, oh yeah, I can use a print delivery profile instead, or maybe I don't need to do anything and autopilot can do it for me. A bit of a bonus, there's a couple of other areas where autopilot and print delivery profiles play a role and have improved the experience. First up is the MFD platforms where certain requests have to be submitted via an edge node. So an example of this is a user swiping their card to log in. We sometimes have to send an inbound request to the MFD. So this, if you set up a print delivery profile or use autopilot, it's going to use that same algorithm to choose which client is going to send that request to the printer. And in addition, one-click installation. So you'll see a lot of the platforms we can do a one-click install, including Kyocera, which is a big win over a USB stick. I've had first-hand experience with USB sticks and Kyocera, so definitely a big win on that one. This will also use this algorithm to work out which client can see the printer and therefore install the embedded for us. So if you've ever had to go and use the command line because it's not been successful with one click, this is going to make it a lot more successful on the first attempt at trying to install the embedded. So this is just a little bit of a summary, sort of, I'm going to call it that sales shout out, but this just said PaperCut Hive is now ready to scale into the largest customers with even the most complex and network environments. Autopilot's a great out-of-the-box solution, but if you need it or admins want it, then they can configure the print path with a print delivery profile. There are a lot more resources on our partner portal about everything I've spoken about in this presentation. The Zero Trust, obviously you heard me give a shout out to. If you haven't been in there today, the partner portal has updated this morning. So when you log in now, you'll see a big banner at the top that says Q3 release, save the date. And if you jump through to that page, there's a whole page. I've only grabbed a screenshot of the first bit. If you scroll down, there's resources about every feature. There's the key value propositions for each thing. A lot more information on that page. And I just threw this in at the last minute because someone asked earlier, September, October. Just remember, you can get access today. If you've asked, then you have it already. If you haven't, then there's a button on the portal page. You can ask for access. 30th of September, public beta, and then 30th of October is general availability. And that's me done. Back to you, Ben.
Perfect. Thank you very much indeed, Matt. Would you mind leaving that up for just the dates on there? I think that'd be quite good, and then obviously people can see and we can talk around it. But yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you for putting that in there. Right, we will go into some questions because we've had a few, which is quite nice. So if you guys are all right, I'll shout them out, and then by all means anybody can answer from that side. Simon, like Max said, has asked regards to how do we report bugs on the new Hive features. I would suggest, Matt, if it's all right with you, that's obviously fed back through us. Or sorry, Oz, have you got, guys? Do you want to say anything from Oz?
Yeah. So we have. Ideally, it would be good if it would come through SelectTech. However, within product, under the drop down under your name, when you're logged into the admin UI, there's a provide feedback to PaperCut button. So feel free to drop them in there as well. But it's always good to have SelectTech understand the problems as well.
Yeah, I would say obviously there is multiple ways of doing it. If you guys are happy to feed it through us, and we can obviously get it to the team at PaperCut. But as you mentioned there's another way of doing it. So thank you for that, guys. We have another one on the Kyocera app. Are there any limitation with backwards compatibility, or will the current app run now? So is there any backwards compatibility issues or any limitations with regards to running the new app with the old app, I'm assuming, or is there anything with regards to, or any considerations that need to be taken in on that side?
You'll be glad to hear there is not. So one big win is if you, with the one-click installation, that can one-click the new app over the top of the existing app. So that's a big win on that one. If
Nice.
you could run the existing Hive app, you can run the new Hive app. So that's absolutely fine. The only thing I will say is, obviously, if you're new to Hive, if it's compatible with MF, it doesn't mean it's compatible with Hive. So just check on that front. But if it was already running Hive, it can run the new app on Hive, no problem.
Oh, that's nice news. This is going well so far. Let's see if we can try and trip you up with one of these guys. Right, is it also possible to set up costs for scanning? So I don't know whether the PaperCut guys want to answer that, or Matt on your bit.
Yeah, I can do. Yeah, so it isn't at the moment. At the moment, it's limited to print and copy. That is one of the areas we could look to do some development in the future. But we're sort of going to switch it up now and look at things like quotas. And I know there's big demand for shared accounts, so that's a little bit further out. But we want to hit those big features first before we start doing things like scan costs, because we know that is only used in a very small subset of customers in the MF space.
Okay, understood. Nicely done. I will say as well, if you do have questions around that on the scanning cost side of things, you can talk to Selectech, because we may have ways of doing that with alternative and complementary side of things. So yeah, we can look at that. It's something we've been talking about quite a lot recently. So if you do want to know a little bit more, you can reach out to the guys at Selectech. Anyway, we'll move on. Can you add payment gateway for Hive?
Not today, but in the future, definitely be doing that. We obviously need to have quotas first, so users have balances and pots of money before we can do payment gateways, but definitely on the radar.
Perfect. Good to hear, Matt. Thank you. It's great because I'm watching you and Matt and Oz trying to get there first as well. I'm seeing his hand go across the table.
I'll give him the next one. I'll give him
You're never going to beat Matt on this one. Come on, you've got to try a little bit harder. Right, we'll see who gets to this one first. Does the page level detection work with SNMP version 3? He's going for it. There we go.
No, SNMP v3 support is still not in product. It will happen, but it's not currently prioritized.
Understood. Okay. And again, these are obviously some things that we can feed back through. If there is a request from the reseller network, we can obviously facilitate that and get it to the guys at PaperCut if we need to. Right.
And as an addition to that, the costing for your print jobs is done at time of you submitting the job the same way in MF. So that's done by the print provider when your job is initially analyzed. So the SNMP isn't important in terms of the printing costs.
Look at this, the holy trifecta of maths. We're just going to answer all.
That was a much better answer than mine. Thank you, Matt.
Not a problem, Matt.
This is weird. I love this. Thanks, Matt. You're all right, Matt. No, that's good, Matt. Thanks, Matt. Right. Would the Hive embedded app ever be able to talk directly to the cloud and not need a local node for print release? I think you might have covered that.
Oh,
Matt,
what a great question. I like this one. So first thing is we've made a couple of changes over recent months that has removed the dependency for an edge node on certain MFD platforms where we're able to. I'm going to give a shout out on HP on this front because that's something we've added on HP. It's optional. You need to make a change on the HP, but it is supported on all machines. So that's a big win on that front. In terms of the other bit, which is the print delivery, we are definitely looking at that. The dev team at the moment, well, maybe not right this second because they're probably having their dinner, but during their working hours are looking at this at the moment. It's a little bit more complicated than maybe you think on the surface, as we need to cater for jobs released from the embedded and also those released from the mobile app. So it's a little bit more complicated than maybe we thought to start with and maybe other people realize. But we are looking at that at the moment and trying to work out which platforms would be able to do it. So I guess at the moment, the message is watch this space. But yeah, we're actively working on it at the moment.
Great, thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Not well, we'll see if we can get this one. If I have users that are using multiple PCs, how does that work with their Hive account? A bit of an open question, that one, but
I'm giving that one to Matt and Tamia because that was their subject.
He doesn't want that one, Matt. He's going to wait for you to push the button.
No, it's super easy. So when you link up your user with Hive, it creates a file in the local directory for that user on that computer. So you can be linked on as many computers as you want. Yeah, you just have to do that linking on each computer once. Once you've done it once on that computer, you're sold forever on that specific device. But then you go to the next computer, you do the authenticate on print, do it once, and then you're fine. So yeah, unlimited computers.
Look at that. We're getting through the nicely. I think we might be able to combine the next two, but there's one. Is there any indication of group account reporting being available? But then we've also got another one saying where on the roadmaps are groups, so needs for quotas, account codes, etc. So maybe we could answer both those together. I know we're not going to be able to give any firm dates, but is there anything that you can share with us with regards to where this might sit on the roadmap, guys?
Yep. So yeah, we'll be looking at groups immediately after all this because we need to support the next accounts and quotas. So we need to have groups there. So that's we're having conversations about that, and it'll be on the roadmap. But as Ben said, we can't confirm dates just yet.
Oh well, I was trying to lead you into that then, and maybe get a date out of you, but no, apparently not. No, it didn't work, guys. I tried my best. Thank you, Tamia. Appreciate that. Oh, we've got one more just pop in. Any potential issues when moving to Entra SSO from Microsoft sign-in for a user that already exists? Did I get that across? Did that come across right?
Yep. So yeah, we handled that absolutely fine. Hive primarily cares about the email address, so we'll pass the email address to the IDP or to the SAML through the SAML connection. If it matches a user in the user list in the SAML connection, then it will authorize. So you would probably, like Matt said in his video, you would probably disable the sign in with Microsoft button, but there might be some situations where you would want both. But yes, it will work fine.
You're getting these easy. Oh, sorry, Matt. Go on.
I was just going to prompt them actually. Have we made a change to the sign on with Microsoft button, Matt? Did we make it work for some more people?
I don't know, you tell me.
Oh. Okay, I'll take it then. Yes, we did. So if you know before, when you used the sign on with Microsoft button, you had to have like a personal account to use the button, and that will now work with any Microsoft account, so you're not limited anymore.
Great stuff. Oh my gosh, they're rolling in now, guys. I don't know what's happening, but you're going to be here for the next 4 hours, I reckon. Right, this one specifically to you, Matt, in Australia. Does that mean Hive supports and works with shared user accounts on the PC, i.e. switch users on a PC and keep users authenticated on both sessions?
I think that's alluding to fast user switching. And if it is, yeah, we made some changes in July, I think, around our fast user switching support on Windows devices, which was not always reliable. But since making those changes, we haven't, touch wood, had any negative feedback from that. So we already support fast user switching. The caveat is there are sometimes issues on the initial installation, but that will be resolved as well with the authenticate on print. So
I think I will
just. Oh, sorry, Ben. Go
on.
No,
I was going to say we still haven't managed to trip him up yet, but you might do it now, Matt. Go on.
I was just going to add to that, just to say the only thing to be careful about with shared computers is obviously we store our print client and the user's authentication in their app data folder. So if you've got a lot of users using the same computer, I have seen it before where the older profiles can get wiped out. So if that's obviously outside of our control, if the user's profiles are getting removed from that machine when they say, I don't know what the number is, but I've seen it before, it starts to remove the old ones. If it starts to remove those, when those users come back, they would need to authenticate again. But as I mentioned, that's outside of our control if the profile is being removed.
Perfect. Good work. Another one. How many IDPs can be active at once? I'm not sure what that means, so I'm hoping one of you guys does.
Yep. So I was asking about this today actually to the team, so this works out perfectly. You can have as many IDP connectors set up to your org as you like. You can use the same IDP across multiple orgs because the credentials that you put into your IDP are unique for that specific SAML connection. So you can have 10 Google Workspace connections to your org if you want. Just bear in mind you probably want to name them differently because they'll each come up as a different sign-in option. But we do not let you save them with the same name. So yeah, so many as you like, go nuts.
You're getting away easy with these ones, Matt. I tell you, we're going to have to try and.
You're lying though.
If I believe you, so if you are, you're doing a very good job of it. We had another question around the timelines for quotas and things like that. But you guys already answered that. We do have some roadmap information, guys, that we are able to share with the reseller community, but that is done on a one-to-one basis. It's not something that we would do on a live webinar. So if you do have any questions, please do reach out to your Select Tech contact, and we'll be able to discuss that further. That I've got to the end of the questions unless anyone's going to pop one in there just to sort of throw us off right at the end. Then I think we will let the guys in Australia get to have their dinner finding. Oh, someone's asked. There we go. Oh, no, it's a thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Look at that. Perfect. No, I will say from Select Tech point of view, thank you so much, guys, to the guys from PaperCut, especially you guys in Australia. We appreciate you taking your time out of your evening to come and do this. It's been wonderful to have you. And Matt, it's always a pleasure to have you from the UK as well. Thank you for the Select